Ce qui se passe dans les bois est un véritable podcast sur la criminalité. Nous discutons d'événements qui sont souvent de nature violente. La discrétion de l'auditeur est conseillée. What Happens in the Woods is a true crime podcast. We discuss events that are often violent in nature. Listener's discretion is advised.
Well, hello, friends. I'm sorry. I know I'm not the voice you usually hear at the beginning of these. Jessica has been feeling a little bit under the weather. And I just wanted to put out a quick update that we are still putting out episodes, but life has just caught up with us between full-time jobs. Our middle daughter, Haley, had another seizure, and she actually takes medication for that. So we're trying to figure out why that had happened. Haley had also been sick. Just life. Other than that, we have been doing collaborations. Like we did one with the Crime Diner, and you guys can head over to their podcast and find that episode that we did with them. Again, that was something we followed up on. We previously did that. It was on Kaylee Bridzel and her case. We had gotten in contact with her family, and you can head over to their podcast and listen to them. Listen to Crime Diner and our collaboration. We give updates on her family and just moving forward, what they would like, from everyone. And we are doing another collaboration with Carmita Thompson of Missing in the PNW. And Carmita has graciously, while we are recovering and getting ready to do more episodes, given us one of her episodes so that you guys can get to know Carmita and the Missing in the Pacific Northwest podcast. This is a case about Esmerelda Mora, affectionately known as Kit. Kit is an LGBTQ 17-year-old who is two-spirit, non-binary, asexual, and uses they/them pronouns. Kit had a horrible childhood growing up with an abusive and neglectful mother who never reported them missing. Nobody has heard from Kit since November 2021. But the cops went to their mom's house in September, and she told them Kit, quote unquote, ran away in April. Hopefully you guys enjoy this episode. We will get back to doing regular episodes, but Carmita has graciously provided this one so that in the interim, you guys can get to know her and we don't leave you guys hanging. But I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Carmita is awesome. Her energy is great, and she's very passionate about her cases. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and present Carmita Thompson of Missing in the Pacific Northwest podcast.
Welcome to Missing in the PNW. So for anybody who followed me last weekend, I went up to Auburn, Washington and attended the PNW True Crime Fest. It was a lot of fun. It was a different experience than what I've done. Thank you for everybody who liked or commented on the videos. Thank you to my mom who would tell me if something was screwed up. But it was a good, I would say, networking opportunity. There were a lot of people that found out about my podcast. There were a lot of people that asked if I had a booth or if I was going to be a presenter. So I'm definitely looking at doing that next year. I didn't even know you could get a booth and do like a live podcast, but that sounds like really fun. So I'm going to work on that. And I don't want to give too much away, but I do have at least four other podcasts that want to collab with me to do some episodes and also like do cross promos. So that's going to be awesome. Stay tuned for that. I'm not gonna, like I said, I wasn't gonna give you guys too much info of what I did last weekend. You guys kind of knew with the videos, but I am still gonna have that episode with my homie Ezekiel, with his podcast Northwest and Chill, and we'll just have a conversation too on that, because he went to a different little like protest. It was a women's protest in downtown Portland last weekend as well. So we're gonna kind of hook up and discuss both of those things, and how we can help, how you guys can help, and just talk. So on my way up to Auburn, I got a message on the Facebook page. So there was a listener who turned me on to a case that I'm going to talk about today. So I originally had like a whole different like case and episode planned, but I really, the more I looked into this, the more people I talked to, I really wanted to get this case out there. And I'm going to warn you guys right now, this case, figuring out, researching, talking to people, the stuff that I found out, I'm pissed off. I'm sad. I'm like, as a mother, I'm like really confused and disgusted. And I'm probably going to cuss more than once in this episode. So I'm warning you of that now. If you have little kids or whoever around and you don't want them to hear that, then put in some headphones or listen to it later. But yeah, I know I'm going to cuss in this episode. So I'm just warning you guys now, because you guys know I really don't do that. So this case, oh my God, there's a lot that goes into this case, and there's actually a lot more that's going to happen down the road. So let me prepare myself and let's just jump in, because there's a lot to talk about. So the case I'm going to bring you today is of a child named Esmerelda Mora. However, this child goes by Kit, K-I-T. So Kit went missing in Omak, Washington. Now, Omak's pretty far. It's like over a 6 hour, almost a 6.5 hour drive northeast of Portland. So by any means, it's like not close. It is in Okanogan County. And I think it's either on or it's right next to the Colville reservation. So Kit went missing in Omak. Now, this child is Hispanic, Native American, and part of the LGBTQ community. When I found out about this case and I heard that, I immediately got sad, because we're not talking about 1, 2, we're talking about 3 things already going against this child. 1, we know that they don't show Hispanics any type of attention when people go missing. Same thing for natives. There's so many native cases out there that I could do, unfortunately, because nobody cares. And 3, LGBTQ. After all of these years and everything, and being 2022, we are still fighting for LGBTQ rights and making sure that those people are recognized and they're cared about. Just made me like really, really sad, because no little kid should have to go through what this child has gone through. So I keep saying child, and that's for a reason, because Kit actually identifies as non-binary. Kit uses they, them pronouns. So if you hear me say like they or them or their, I'm talking about Kit, but I want to respect Kit and use their proper pronouns. That's something that's really, really big for me. So if we start back from childhood, Kit had a very complicated and sad childhood. They had a very abusive mother. And when Kit was 4, they were actually adopted and lived with a nice family in Yakima. And Kit had a bunch of adoptive sisters. One of Kit's older sisters, her name is Charlotte. So I've actually talked to Charlotte. I talked to her today, actually. And then I've also, we've shared comments back and forth on the Facebook page, and then we were texting today. And I will let you know now, I'm not sure if there's anybody else that's gonna talk, but Charlotte has agreed to do an interview, and that's gonna come in the next couple of weeks. Hopefully, I gotta set that up. But we will get more information on Kit from Charlotte's perspective. So again, Charlotte is super supportive of Kit, and she straight up refuses to give up on finding out what exactly happened to them. So Kit was, on their way to being just another lost child, just someone that, they do a little alert for, or they say something and then nothing. Kind of like some of the people that, I do, where it's literally just a name, a description, and a photo. That's what they were trying to happen to Kit. And their sister was like, no, that's not happening. So their sister actually got them on, it said a database. I don't know what missing person database that is, though, because Kit's not on NamUs, because you guys know I check NamUs a lot. And Kit is also not on the website for the National Missing Kids. So I think I want to talk with Charlotte, and I want to figure out how to get Kit on NamUs. Just whatever we can do to get their name out there more. And just be on these databases so that people can look them up. Or if something, if somebody comes across, they can be like, oh, hey, that child, I've heard about that child. So Kit actually reconnected with their birth mother in 2021. And Kit actually even moved in with their birth mother. However, things did not go as smoothly as they hoped. And many people actually believe that Kit's mother had something to do with their disappearance. Now, there's been a lot of speculation and a lot of talk. I've seen comments. I've seen people who, I guess, support Kit's mom and people who support Kit. And I say that because, one, you guys know that I don't like to get into all them deep rabbit holes and speculate and all of that. I try to keep everything with as much information, as much facts as I can. But when I tell you guys what this lady has done, what she's been accused of, what is reported on paper, so you know that it's facts, I can't, guys. This lady, I don't know, one, how she ain't in prison. Two, how she's even allowed to be around children. And three, she's gone now. And we'll get to that later. But Kit's birth mom is not a good person at all. Literally, everybody is sitting there and, like I said, I saw comments where people were like, oh, Kit's mom would never do that. And then there were people like, oh, really? Was that before or after the CPS charges? And then there's a lot of people who are, something happened. We know Kit's missing. We know Kit's mother had something to do with it. So I'm pro Kit. I'm gonna go down the list of everything that I found about Kit's so-called mother, and I say that in air quotes because like I don't understand how you could be a mother after all the crap that she's done. But I'm gonna go down and tell you everything that I found out. I am sure that when I talk to Charlotte is going to bring more perspective. I know that another one of Kit's sisters was interviewed, and she did not have a lot of good things to say about their mother. So let me just try to get into this without like going into too much of a rant. One of the biggest, most shocking things that I have heard about this is that there are a lot of people that believe that Kit's mother is actually trafficking them. Kit's 17 years old. Kit is still a child. And for a mother, someone who is supposed to love you, protect you, and care for you forever, like the one person that you're supposed to be able to count on, Kit doesn't have that. There is talk that Kit is being trafficked. Now let that sink in for a minute, because you guys know I've talked about a lot of different cases where, you know, girls go missing and they're being trafficked, or they believe they're being trafficked. Like, what was it? Last year for Hispanic Heritage Month when I did Cynthia's case. Cynthia was in that bar, seen on surveillance, walking out of that bar with that Hispanic guy, and they believe Cynthia is being trafficked. Native American History Month when I did Alyssa's case. Alyssa, they believe Alyssa's being trafficked now because there's reports that she was seen getting into, again, guys, a white truck with a white guy. And they, nobody's heard from her since. And there's a big part that she could be trafficked. There was one other girl, which I can't for the life of me think about it, but that was another situation of where they believe she's being trafficked. So this, like, human trafficking, sex trafficking, I've said this before, it's $1 billion business. Like, there's piece of shit people out there who they don't care about anybody but themselves and making money, and they'll do whatever. Like, they don't care. And these are probably the worst type of people in the world. So here's where things gets even more devastating for this child. Kit's mother, Lori, has an entire rap sheet of abuse and neglect charges and CPS cases. Now, again, let that sink in. There is documented instances of abuse, neglect, and CPS being called on her, CPS showing up at her house. All of this is documented. Kit had another sister, and their sister's name is Malia. So Malia also experienced the abuse and neglect that Kit had faced growing up. So that's another person right there that's saying, this lady's a piece of shit and she's not taking care of her kids. Here's another thing that I mean, the more and more you look at this case, you can't help to think that Kit's mom is guilty, or Kit's mom had something to do with her disappearance. Because Kit's mom did not even report them missing. Okay, there are so many conflicting reports that I found. So everybody for sure that I know of has not heard from Kit since November of last year, which November 2021. So nobody has heard from Kit. Kit's social media went quiet. Stuff that, like, kids' best friends, like stuff that you would expect teenagers to be on and do and communicate. All of that stopped in November of 2021. Now, I saw one report that said in April 2022, Kit's so-called mother reported them as a runaway, which, why? Like literally did not care, did not do anything. There's another report that Kit's mother last month in September reported them as a runaway. So I'm confused, but like this lady just doesn't care at all. Doesn't care what the hell happens. Furthermore, she does not care because there were 4 other children in Lori's care. All of these kids were under the age of 5. And it was reported that Lori would leave these kids for hours at a time intermittently. Hours. Okay. Finally, on June 17th of this year, 2022, CPS and the Omak police paid Lori a visit at her house. And what they found was shocking. So these kids were described as being absolutely filthy, like literally to the point where the filth was like caked on them. Like that was the literal words, were caked on filth. Okay. Their hair was matted. They had soiled diapers. They had burns on them. And they had adult bite marks on their body that were in all various stages of healings. So some were new, some were old. You know, why? Everything that I just said there, no little kid should have to go through. And you guys know that I have daughters. And I would never, ever want my kid to go through something like that. Or for anything, for my kids to be abused or neglected. All of that. All of that. Why? Why did those kids have to go through all of that? For what? When there were CPS cases called on this lady before. Okay. Not only that, but the kids were taken that day. Okay. They were taken to a hospital for treatment and were removed from Lori's home for an undisclosed amount of time. But these kids were returned to her. Why? This is why people get so upset and why people hate the system, whether it's foster care, CPS, social justice, whatever. This system is designed for people of color to fail. For little kids to get put somewhere and nobody cares about them. Nobody does follow-ups. Nobody does anything. So then what happens when one of these kids ends up dead or another kid ends up missing? You are putting children, little children. My youngest is 5. Little children you're putting back with this lady, who again has documented CPS cases against her. Like, okay, the filth and the matted hair, the soiled diapers. Okay, that right there should have been enough. But the burns and the adult bite marks, like, never ever should a little kid have to go through that. And never ever should a kid be given back to a lady who obviously cannot take care of them. Okay. Kit's biological father even stated that he was the victim of domestic violence because Lori is a crazy bitch. There's no other way to describe her, but she is a crazy bitch. So crazy to the point that Kit's father was beaten and stabbed by her. Like what? He was literally beaten and stabbed by this lady. And you still want little kids around her? So, of course, we now don't know where Lori is because I was informed that Lori is now missing. And a lot of people think, of course, that she's in hiding. However, there was a news article that got a hold of her last week or the week before that via text. At least they said they were speaking to her via text. I mean, it was text message. You don't know who the hell you're talking to. But anyways. And of course, she denied everything. Because why would she incriminate herself? She's gotten away with this shit for so long. It's like whatever now. She's past the point of caring. And nobody is doing anything. So whatever. So the other thing that was, oh my God, not even to mention that these kids are missing now too. So if Lori is missing, Lori has the 4 little kids and now they're missing. Nobody in the family knows where they are, if they're okay. And Kit had been missing for so long that their school actually unenrolled them. And they did not do any type of follow-up. Which, why? Washington actually has a law called Becca Bill. So Becca Bill is, I mean, there's a lot of laws in states where, you know, kids between a certain age are supposed to go to school and, you know, if they don't, their parents could be held accountable. Well, this one took it a little further. And so it states that Becca's Bill, kids 8 to 18 must be in school full time. If the kids miss a lot of school, the school is supposed to reach out to the parent. And if they cannot get a hold of the parent or parents after a certain amount of time, those parents can end up in court. If that still doesn't work, then the school legally is supposed to inform the police to do a welfare check. That was never done. So the school, again, didn't care. Okay, kids not come to school, whatever. We can't get a hold of their mom, whatever. Like, where was the follow-up? This is the problem. Nobody wants to follow up on these cases. Now, right now, I mean, that's all I have. Like I said, I talked to Charlotte. Obviously she's trying to do anything she can to get Kit's name and face out there. And, I mean, there's multiple agencies that know about this. So the OMAC police know about it. Okanagan County Sheriff's Office knows about this. And the Colville Tribal Police all know about this. So what are they doing? Nothing. As far as we know, they did that little, oh, this child is missing. Please look out for her. And that was it. Like what? Why? Do something, people. This is your job. You are supposed to uphold the law. You are supposed to care about people in general, but these are kids we're talking about. Kids. Where the hell was the follow-up for these kids? Who is fighting for these kids? Who is caring for these kids? This happens way too much when kids get put in the system and nobody cares about them. They are forgotten. They are lost until they hit 18 and they age out the system. Then what the hell are they supposed to do? Because they're by themselves with no guidance, nobody to support them, nobody to love them, nobody to care for them. So what the hell are we doing? We have to be better for our children. We have to make a better environment, a better country, a better world, a better everything. Our kids deserve the best. We have to make it better for them. So, Kit is described as 5'2". And there were two different accounts. One I saw, Kit weighs 140 pounds. The other one, Kit weighs 190 pounds. I'm not sure which one it is. So we'll just go like in the middle. And Kit has brown eyes and brown hair. Any information, there is a reference case number with the Okanogan County Sheriff's Office. That phone number is 509-422-7200. Reference case number is K like kite 224101. Now, you guys saw on the Facebook page last week that I had already put up the missing person flyer for Kit. That's now the profile picture for the Facebook page. I'm also going to put up, if I can find one, a picture of Lori, Kit's so-called mother. And I want you guys to share the hell out of that. Because if anybody sees this lady, don't call the cops. Call 911. Like I said, this lady is a crazy bitch. She's violent. She doesn't care. If you see her, call somebody and say something. I'm sure there's also people in her immediate circle or people that know people in her immediate circle that know something. And you guys are cowards if you're not going to come out and protect these little kids. So somebody needs to say something because everybody knows there is at least one person out there that knows what the hell is going on. So again, I don't know how many times I have to tell you guys, you can remain anonymous. Remain anonymous and call in a tip. Also, there is, I'm going to find a number for CPS because we can actually call CPS and put in a complaint about Kit's mom. And that'll go on to, the more calls, the worse it looks. Especially now since they think that, she fled and is in hiding with 4 little kids. It's not a good look for her. Now, again, back to the whole, kids in the system. Every single year, almost 1 million kids suffer from some type of abuse or neglect. Now, again, let that sink in. Every year, 1 million children will suffer some type of abuse or neglect. Anybody want to guess how many of those get reported? 100,000. 100,000 out of 1 million kids get reported and somebody actually tries to do something. That's a lot of little kids that is out there suffering for no reason because nobody wants to say anything because everybody acts like they don't see nothing. They don't hear nothing. Again, we need to do better for our children. Now, oh my God. You guys heard me tear it up. You guys know how mad I am. This case, I just could not believe. Like, I don't understand, again, how somebody can do this to their own child. So, yeah. Lori, you're a piece of shit. Those babies need to be taken away from you. And you need to come out and say what happened with Kit. Kit, there are people who love you. There are people who care for you. There are people who want to make you safe. And somehow, some way, if you see a flyer, if you hear this episode, please get a hold of somebody, especially your sister Charlotte. You are loved, Kit, and we are not going to forget about you. So please, anybody have a sighting of Kit or Lori, please call the police and report that. Because Kit needs to be in a safe place. Those kids need to be in a safe place. And this lady should have been in prison a long time ago. Like, I don't even know how this chick is still walking free. This is ridiculous. So, like I said, I'm going to set up an interview with Charlotte in the next couple of weeks. And I'm not sure if Kit's other sister, Malia, wants to talk as well. But I'll probably figure that out from Charlotte. But stay tuned for that. Again, keep Kit's face and name out there. Share whatever you can. I'm going to post whatever I can. And we're definitely going to have some follow-up on this case. So until then, guys, please have fun, but be safe.